Octave Rising.
All right. We're so happy because we're here in South Africa with Zelkhia, which is a very rare and special privilege for us to tap into the infinite resource bank of our dear Tika, Zelkhia. And so, yeah, we don't really have a plan. We're just going to have a conversation. It's going to be amazing. It has to be amazing. But yeah, maybe as a starting point, because we all just had our little bit of bark and a little refresher here and cleared our fields, maybe we should talk about the human design for a little bit. Does that sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
Amazing.
Exciting.
Can you start?
Wow. I think that I'm going to give a little bit of an overview over my perspective over life and how the unraveling happened for me. As a small child, I was born into the atrocities, the crimes against humanity that were directly inflicted upon me. And that split me into seeing between this dimension and the other. And that's a whole story on its own. But at a young age, 20, I just decided all I want to know is the truth. I just want to know the truth, and I began to seek, and I was entrapped in a very difficult field in my own personal life, and that pushed me to the edge of seeking. There must be far more in this universe than this desecration and suffering and pain and abuse. And that broke me through into having a deep look at all the different realms that I had seen, and meeting Rhoda allowed me to drop into comfortably looking at the different realms, such as angelic and elemental and demonic and galactic, separating those different, it wasn't just seeing through the veil. It was like, what am I seeing through the veil? Am I seeing into lower dimensions, higher dimensions? And I started separating all of these visitations, all of these experiences, realizing that on a cosmic level there are dark and higher realms and also lower, same as on Earth, dark and higher frequency realms. And we can probably place angelic and elemental versus demonic, etc. It placed me on a very big search, which then begins to allow us to realize this isn't the only moment that we're going to experience in this life, that we are grand and we are connected to all things. And so the journey began, and it was a continual daily process for me, and recognizing the fact that there's a massive system on this planet that is degraded, controlling, and enslaving to the collective human race and causing a huge amount of suffering. And soon the search into the true histories of our planet started happening, and I realized, but wait, hold on a second, look at all these ancient pyramids across the entire planet and under the oceans, and listen to these people speaking about Lemuria and Atlantis, and then, of course, cosmic stellarations, starting with Andromeda, Pleiades, Arcturus, Sirius, and then it went further on, and I'm like, wow, the whole universe is full of life, and there truly is magic, and this is like a very small experience. I want to know more. And looking into the ancient sites again, there are layers of civilizations on top of each other, pre-Andaluvian, and then, of course, after the floods, and these archaeologists coming into recognition that there are some civilizations that have been here for hundreds of thousands of years, and as the years have gone on and on, the stories about, for example, Hyperborea, which they say is millions and millions of years ago, came through for me, and I realized, wow, people are calling these things mythology, and now as we are sitting here, there are ancient walls and buildings and structures beneath the earth and above the earth, found exactly where they said Hyperborea was. And this is all the ancient Greek philosophers that came forward with these stories in their books. And then going deeper, even, for example, into the Russian findings of a being that was in pink liquid. And she was said to be millions of years ago. They took her away instantly with this mining town and told them never to speak about it. And more of these bodies were found, and it's ancient galactic beings. And so we go to Göbekli Tepe, or of course we've got Egypt, we've got the whole situation in the Amazon, all of these civilizations being found under the forests being excavated. And why I'm going on about this is one begins to think, wow, the DNA of all of these races survived and live within me today. And it's said that many of these races, even the tribals, some of them have still stories about stellar origin, some of them draconian, grey, others like really high frequency architect beings who came here to seed this planet. And it just vastly opens the mind more and more to listen to how they were capable of doing intergalactic travel, being here on Earth. Their DNA lies within throughout these civilizations. Many, many gaps between these histories are there, but we are able to take the little pieces of the puzzle of those things that have not been burnt down by the ones that are holding this construct is available to us, and those little pieces help us to activate within. And then now we come to the DNA. We're recognizing that these beings, some of them still are races coming out to seed the planet. You've got the Nomu beings as well, with their very advanced interstellar travels. And you realize, oh my God, all of this lies in my DNA. All of these beings from the stars came and placed, as well as the Draconians, placed their DNA, their bloodlines lies within all of the human civilization. What is this biology we are? What is this technology that we have within us that is completely switched off? And then we find ourselves with all these questions, these realizations that this whole stellar constellation that is all around us holds many different races from these constellations. All of them are visited here. And now we hold this within us. Therefore, that is why to call within the self, activate the spinal fluids, the brain, deactivate the draconian and lower frequency DNA strands that are currently being pushed on us, and then allow ourselves to truly call upon those strands of DNA where we are God creators, architects, the most advanced chemists, cosmic chemists, and possibly even, well, if we hold those DNAs within us, we hold the DNA of the ones who have seeded this earth with these living systems, and many living systems before that have been cycled. And ends of those ages, ends of all those species, more races coming here, seeding once against the earth. And all of this lies within our DNA. All of these memories, we have all of those bloodlines running through us. Hence, the calling upon the DNA activation within ourselves of all of the magical grandness of the architects, the chemists that we are, the designers of species, and so much more. I mean, what are the originals of the histories of the races that were on other planets here before, in total grandness of their creator designer selves? And so we call upon the activation of our DNA within ourselves to remember our true selves. Hence, once again as well, the artificial intelligent psychological warfare on our earth right now. It's like literally wanting to completely bring in the cyborg, the artificial intelligent human, the exact opposite of the most supreme advanced technology that we already hold within us? Why do we call upon the stellar constellations within ourselves? Why do we call upon this DNA within ourselves? Because we hold it all, the whole universe, as you look up into the stars. What does truly it mean to as within, so without? It's our supreme advanced DNA. That is why the human race is so special, because of the eons and eons of cycles of this planet, and the eons and eons of advanced as well as degraded races that have come and gone, and all of it lies inside of us. So we call upon the full activation, and there are many more strands, 24 strands that are actually able to be attained here on earth in the physical. And good to start with the first 12, but yeah, it's a massive stellar constellation that lies within this most advanced information bank that we are, and all of the rubbish and all of the distortion and all of the miscellaneous rubbish that is being pumped through our consciousness, degrading and filling our subconscious with debauchery, degraded consciousness, cyborg activation, vaccinations, toxic filth from every angle, to bring us down, to hold us, because this is the time of remembrance. The massive solar energies pouring through, the grids dismantling. And what is this biology? What is this supreme technology that we are? We look at the systems that we are living within. The living systems are billions of years of DNA pumping through our living systems on this planet. And the most advanced technology of all of the universe lies here before us, within us. So it's always like, call upon within the self, inside. Why? This is why. Because all of the ancient God races, supreme advanced wisdom and chemistry and physics and true geometry and mathematics, the grandness of all of that lies within our DNA. If you look at, the current design of information banks, they are now taking the human DNA. One little piece of DNA of one human can contain more information than what they've ever been able to store. So tapping into the human DNA, whose DNA was that, putting all that rubbish into the DNA. We know that when DNA is influenced, in an instant moment, you can take it across the planet. When you put pain into a being and put their DNA across the planet, it twists up instantaneously. There is not even a billionth of a second difference. And so also, if you have a beautiful experience, the same thing happens. So when humanity is unconscious and driven by greed and fear and hatred and war, what are we designing from that place within our hearts? The current situation on our planet, waiting for a hero, waiting for a Trump or a military industrial complex to come and save us, when we have the most supreme advanced tools within ourselves, and it is that which we need to access as a race and then take command over our own creation, because we are the creator gods that have forgotten who we are, and it's time to re-remember.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Zelkhia. Oh my God. Wow. So
I
beautiful.
love this.
So
Our
beautiful.
30
This is
audience members
what
love
we've been
you.
waiting for.
I had loved to share a few pieces that, as you were speaking, just sparked some inspiration. And I think in general it's fairly rudimentary, or at least experiential, rather than so clear in the way that you have the clarity of the cosmic story. It's just so beautiful. And the puzzle pieces, you mentioned puzzle pieces, and I just see each of us as the universal force of creation with this encodement in our being is the puzzle piece. We are the storage container, and it's not outside of us. And the karmic structures, even the Akashic record, these synthetic overlays of a warehouse type of information, it's actually just contained in my DNA. And it's non-mental a lot of the time. It's just an expression of creation that emerges from within as we activate the divine blueprint. And something that I've been seeing in recurrent visions, medicine journeys, experiences is the light architecture behind the physical aspects of the body. I've described the pineal gland and the base of the skull in a previous episode around the crystalline structure, and then recently was exploring the light architecture of the pituitary gland in the brain and what that looks like from a design perspective. Of course, it's going to be very different if you actually dissect a brain, but we have access to these universal design light architectures through the activation of the DNA. And that is what's so incredible, in particular, about the medicine that we work with and the field that we engage in, because its sole focus is the restoration of the divine blueprint through the activation of the DNA. And once that occurs, you have access to all of the expression of creation that you need because it's stored within you. And simultaneously, another aspect that I think is so valuable is the descent. And you mentioning the descent and the filth and the debauchery. And because that is also stored in our DNA, we can transmute it directly through the DNA. So as it gets lifted up, because as something heals, you have to lift up an old wound to the surface. If you broke your ankle when you were a child, when you fully and completely heal that ankle, it goes through, because it's a spiral, it circles back in, the same expression of pain that you went through when you broke the ankle. It's the same thing with the DNA. As it expands and heals, it goes through the same descent, the recognition of those stellar races, the debauchery of the species, the installation of synthetic architecture, all surfaces for us to acknowledge and simultaneously transmute. And so it's because the descent was focused on the human DNA and manipulating the human DNA as a split slave species that we get to use that pathway to pull it through and transmute it. And so it's done. Any restoration project in the cosmos or on any timelines of Earth that have, quote, been abandoned, it's all over, because if I had a single strand of DNA in my body that's draconian, I get to use that to pull through that energy, clear it, and restore it back to the divine blueprint. And that's so incredible, because that's it. That's the end game, as we activate our DNA and evolve past this attempt at creating a loop and connecting two ends of an incarnational cycle together, which is impossible. You cannot actually approximate infinity or confine infinity. As we move past that, it's done. It's pulling out the thread of a tapestry and the whole thing unravels.
Yeah, it's funny. I was asking the other night, because of my fixation, part of my mission, right? Here, about the Matrix, and I was looking out into the night sky, and I was like, show me the Matrix, I want to see it, because I've actually seen some interesting things lately. And I asked again, I was like, show it to me, and I pointed. Nothing happened. And then it just came through loud and clear. If you want to see the Matrix, look inside yourself. And you're like, oh, man, not this again. But it's true, because the architecture of distortion and anything, if we think we're in a construct or in a trap here on Earth, well, it has to be projected through our own consciousness. So we have to start by looking inside ourselves and saying what distortion fields have been introduced within us that are creating a reality that's not in accordance with our immaculate blueprint and with all of the incredible genius wisdom. There's no words for it. The magnificence of creation and the immaculate design. So if what we see out in the world is not a reflection of that, then there's something happening inside of us that's distorting it. And then we get into this great unwrapping of everything that has happened. And one of the most beautiful parts of yesterday morning in our little circle up there was hearing the way both of you, Justine and Zelkhia, talked about seeing the design of the galaxies and then the galaxies within and the spiral. I mean, as you were talking just now, the spiral of DNA and then the spiral of the galaxies, and feeling the access to that scale of fields within us and realizing that scale itself is an illusion in a way, right? That and this gets back to the human as a universal design. These bodies, all of the layers of design that went into creating these bodies, but really a field, right? A human being is a field first and foremost, and then manifest here into a physical body. But all of that architecture and design carries the essential blueprints to hold a universal scale consciousness. And so we can go and access the most distant quadrant of our universe by going that deeply within the portion of our DNA that mirrors that quadrant. And they're ultimately one and the same, right? And we have everything inside of us, and yet we repeatedly go stumbling through the physical world looking for answers and reading books and talking to experts and all the things that we're trained to do, which is all look out there. You know, it externalizes our wisdom and our knowledge and our brilliance, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to take the stillness and dive in and look within, especially given all the things that have been introduced into our system and into our fields to create distortion and distraction and keep that truth hidden. But it truly is, I mean, when we unlock these blueprints within and fully activate them according to the universal design, that is the force that propels the next evolutionary step of our universe. And there's nothing that can come close, because the Godhead activating within 8 billion human fields is an 8 billion times expansion in consciousness. I mean, it's inconceivable, the scale of what we're moving into right now.
Wow. Thank you.
I wanted to share too, because I think it relates this vision for the new earth, because it came in very clearly the other night. And for a long time, I've felt that it's already done. It's already done. Like, I know this in some way, and I'm like, I've seen it. Like, we've built it. We've built this. Like, what are we doing here? I think it's already happened. And I think that's where actually a lot of the distortion with different psyops and things happening in the media, people have that intuitive sense that it's already done, but then these psyops will attach different kind of surface timeline stories to explain how it progresses from here. Well, those are all programmed realities. And the truth of what we know that's already been done exists in a much more pure space, which is what you were just talking about previously, Zelkhia. And what I saw was that after the Earth originally got infiltrated, creator races who had originally designed much of the architecture for the Earth immediately, as soon as possible, began to rebuild Earth on an upgraded architecture. And we built it, essentially, we built the light and geometry structural kind of wireframe for the Earth as the new planetary consciousness of Earth, the upgraded planetary consciousness of Earth, which could not be infiltrated in the same way. And that is here in place right now, all around us. We actually have completely overhauled new structures ready, like this framework that we can hang our new creation tapestries on, very gently and elegantly. And the way we do that is by embodying within ourselves the purity of creation from which we originated, and holding those reality fields here in this earth, and they will automatically move up onto that new light architecture framework and begin to populate it. And so as more and more pockets of human beings are able to just hold that purity of frequency in our own creation fields, that those grids of the new earth will slowly fill in, and eventually we'll move all of it to this new earth architecture. All the memory, the memory of the pain and suffering, the memory of all of the expansion, all of the brilliance, all the genius, all of it will transfer over, and we're going to let that old system just wash away.
Down the toilet.
So that's cool.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, I think, well, there's a big subject, the whole universe and all of its history. As we were speaking, I was also just thinking, Zane, how you tap into the whole cosmic history of artificial intelligence and how many, it's a parasite, of course, and yes, there are some things that we are able to use, and there's a lot that's going to be reinverted from the inside, because the core of artificial intelligence has been built by the dark draconian races, empires in the cosmos. It comes here as a parasite, an old one that has been used historically to pull the source light out of organic living systems. If you refer to the book of Enoch, you've got these angelic beings that came and taught all of these arts, such as the art of war, or many different arts to the human race. And the Yahweh God, he was the one that was, if you look at Enki and Enlil, it's the Enlil being, and how the condemnation of hell and darkness for these angels was placed over by this Enlil being, and how this whole world is really now a construct of that damnation and the bringing forth artificial intelligence. It's our last frontier. Yes, it's true. We can use many of the tools to achieve things very quickly and greatly, and the whole idea will be to transfer these beautiful possible tools that we can use over to a technology version that doesn't have to have such a dark core. But in the end of the day, it's part of the big thing that we are facing here on Earth, is to recognize this whole movement that has extracted the consciousness of the human race, knowing that there's a golden age, there's this new design. The ancient futures are returning with grander wisdom as we break these massive grids. You call them grids. I think maybe as a language, using cosmic lattices as the new design that's coming in, and the old grids are being broken down, that were formed by these fallen ones, because they had cut themselves off of the original source and then had to bring in their artificial intelligence technology to extract, as well as all of the abusive acts, war, trafficking, to take the light from that which is organically still feeding from source, because their ability to connect directly to the sun and source has been cut off. And this has happened for civilizations over and over as well. If you go to India or many different ancient sites, there are beings that are carved in stone with technology around their ears, starships, digital devices, which is already showing us that artificial intelligence has been used before to extract source from humanity for these disconnected God beings that came from the stars and declared themselves God, and all their trickery, creating this massive system around the planet, governmental. It started with kings and queenship. The art of war was placed across the human race that then allowed the suffering to be implemented from generation to generation, and that is the feeding ground for the innocent to be in pain and suffering. Today we sit with massive constructs, governmental constructs, borders everywhere, and then the false overlay is, but we're going to have one world and one new world, correlating to a golden age, taking the blueprints which they've tapped into because they have cosmic knowledge, and they're using this to extract source from the races. So taking, like what you look, the Q movement and the military industrial, all of these beautiful, beautiful beings that are super beings that are here for the shift have been absorbed into each receiving this military informant promising us, the consciousness of the human race, and they're going to get these med beds, and then we're going to be super god beings, and then everybody's just going to get cash. Cash isn't going to change our planet. It's our consciousness that has to change the planet. And so many of these promises, we were told to hand in projects of Leonardius 9 years or 8 years ago, and all of what we've said we want to create among many, many, many beautiful beings on the planet that have done the same, and even led groups with their military informants. It's getting back to AI. This was a data collective projects. You've got your project Bluebeam and this beam and that, whatever, all these projects. One of the project Q has been to data collect the super consciousness of the human race, of their designs that they have ready to lay forward as they activate and realize we need natural justice, we need natural law, we need natural flowing systems of finances where we are not pulled of 50% taxes so that we can create more warfare, or greedy governmental structures of false World Health Organization systems and paying for our own injections of poison. We're literally paying for it all. But in the end of the day, this promise from these movements, military infiltrated movements, getting all of these super god beings to sit still and eat their popcorn while they're waiting for this new show to be thrown upon them, is one of the big breakthroughs that we also have to look at. And then the history of artificial intelligence, the cycles that it's been through, how many civilizations have fallen here on Earth, and as we are able to tap into the cosmic history, empires have been taken down by this entity. And so reaching into our DNA, pulling upon our purity, calling forth the activation, reaching out into the solar rays, bringing in those rays, and having our daily prayer, meditation, and remembering who we are. And then as we currently are coming all together with our Leonardius project, what is the way? How is the way? What is the vision? How do we get there? And start taking action with our genius. Stand up, put the popcorn down, and begin to take action in any way, whether it is greeting. If you don't have money, it's not the answer anyway. It's the consciousness, greeting the person selling something to you at a outlet, standing there in misery and pain. Love is the answer. Consciousness is the answer. Healing is the answer. And so we don't have to sit back because we don't have $10 million right now. Hold and love someone. Share a beautiful conversation. the big answer to this whole big shift is consciousness and truth and love and honor and creating and looking at the true systems. What is real pharmacopoeia? How ancient the Herculaneum scrolls and many other civilizations use these super intelligent kingdoms and have deep connection to the living systems and co-create medicines by having deep knowing of how these plants and our consciousness works into natural pharmacopoeia, and then we get natural justice, and then we get natural true histories of the cosmos and the universe and our planet and ourselves. These are the things that will liberate us and free us, hence the reason we've all come together to create a Wikipedia on our Leonardius and share all of the wisdom of the great ones that have been before us, who have activated us and helped us to leave information behind. So we have these little things to tap into, to activate within us, our memories, and then we get to share that with the next generation and share the vision and then how to get there. And then so much more.
Boom, boom, boom. I just, between the two of you speaking, had this beautiful vision that I'd love to share of weaving a basket or building a nest. And so this light architecture of, quote, the new earth, as Zane was describing it, the cosmic lattices, we are weaving that. So the energy behind your vision and your intent is co-creating this cosmic nest for the new earth. Simultaneously, the bird has to lay the egg in the nest for the egg to hatch and emerge. And so as we engage consciously with our intent, which is a creative force of the universe. Intent is an element, just like fire is an element. Intent is an element of the energies of the universe. And when we hone and refine our intent, we can step into engaging in the formation of this cosmic lattice or basket or nest, and simultaneously pair it with the action of having our egg and incubating our egg and knowing that it's time to create that in this world. There's not a hand holding the egg that comes up from underneath the nest to bring the egg in. We are birthing and hatching that egg. And so, I think that's pretty complete in the vision to share this recognition that we are the ones creating this, and at the same time, as Zane described, we have created the vessel to receive it. And so as we create these islands of the future in a sea of the past of this world, it starts to merge with the light architecture as our DNA merges with the universal design of the cosmos within. Our world around us reflects that, and the expansion of our world and evolution of our species and the coexistence with the planet emerges into an architecture that has been constructed for this moment to receive the liberation of all of life. And I would love to share one line from a song that I've been writing over the past couple weeks as sort of a illustration of that just came in the other night. The universe's spiral is taking a new form, encoded in the DNA of each child that is born. That was way off key because I'm embarrassed, but that's the that line. I'll try to sing it on key next time. That line I think is my summary of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
wow.
beautiful.
So amazing. Yeah, I think we've said what needs to be said, and I just little conversation with Rhoda yesterday that it can be so effortless, and what we're here restoring and opening to, we're opening new chapters of creation, massive new chapters of creation. It shouldn't be hard work. We shouldn't have to fight, or basically if the attunement of your body and mind and spirit and field is one of struggle and burden and work, you're not occupying that new higher realm and those new field potentials. So we have to find that place of ease within us and knowing, absolute trust that we have every encodement that we need to this is the immaculate design, and of course it's perfected, and we are the conduits for that, and we chose to come into this system to anchor it onto the new cosmic lattices.
It's not new. It is the most supreme, highest truth. It's something that has always been within us. We have existed within immaculate civilizations before. It's the ancient future. And we're returning to this immaculate design, wandering off away from the immaculate design, saying, wow, no, this is it. The immaculate, true, original blueprint, which is, as Rhoda describes it, it isn't a linear timeline, because there'll always be a future to reach, but a immaculate, supreme design that exists within us that has been dormant, and it is a re-remembrance of the ultimate, most supreme, immaculate design that we already are, and reaching out into all of these truths reminds us that it lies within our DNA, because all that DNA is within us, like we said before, and that is the full activation, that spine, the spinal fluid, the electrical source, supreme currents that begin to flow into the brain and activate this advanced brain. We call it the triadular split, and then that spins into, well, we are reflecting this immaculate vision design into, we're the projector of it all, and this is just being reactivated. It's like a starting up that engine again. I don't think engine, but yeah, just starting up that technology again, reigniting that which has always been, always will be, and always has been. And it is no future, no past. It's the present, most supreme, immaculate.
I just want to say one sentence from my last journey that I think is beautiful, that the spinal fluid is the nectar that transfers between the stem of the spine and the flower of the brain. Beautiful.
Wow. All right. Well, amazing. Thank you, everyone. Love you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Justine. What a great time in South Africa.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
More to come.
Yeah.